Welcome to Alberta's People Political Talk Show. I'm your host for tonight, sitting here with two of our Democratic Socialist guests, Mr. Yuri, the politician, and his companion, Mr. Vishal, the specialist, residing here in the province. We'll be hearing from them addressing the new laws established in response to the circumstances Albertans are facing, and to see if they have any opinions on the system, as well as the coping mechanisms dealing with personal income tax, corporate and business tax, sales and consumption tax with tax breaks, and government programs, including subsidization, grant programs, stimulus plans, public work projects, minimum wage, roll up industry, and austerity measures. At last, to begin with the show, we'll be hearing from a recovered patient, Marco, from a local hospital whose life isn't the same as it used to be since the pandemic disrupted his health. Joining us today to voice his concerns. So, Mr. Citizen, tell me about your current life. How has the economic recession affected your livelihood?
Nah, you know, everybody's having a rough time right now. I mean, both me and my wife were unemployed for about 2 months. I mean, they can't even afford a birthday gift for our child. I really wish someone could just stand out and do something, like the tax. Besides, $14 an hour isn't gonna
That
do
sounds real
anything.
bad.
Isn't gonna solve any
What
problems.
should the government do to help you and others in similar situation?
Well, I think it would be helpful if the government could actually maybe adjust the minimum wage a little and lower some of the taxes. I mean, whatever tax it is, just lower them, right? I mean, I remember yesterday I heard from my neighborhood that there isn't any job available. I hope the government could come up with a solution to create more jobs.
That's why we're going to talk to Mr. Politician, Yuri, a self-proclaimed democratic socialist. How will you address the concerns of Mr. Citizen?
Okay, so firstly, I would cut income taxes for the lowest wage earners and cut business taxes for small companies because they're the most affected during a recession and they need a break in order to get ahead. And I would also increase taxes for the wealthiest and also increase corporate business taxes for big companies so they can help pay their fair share and support those most impacted by the recession. I also give grants to small businesses who hire new employees. This will incentivize small business to hire more people and will create more job opportunities. It will also help grow small businesses because they'll have more employees and money. I also create public works programs by building new roads and schools, and this will create jobs for unemployed workers. And I'd also like to raise the minimum wage to $17 an hour, which is far more livable for low wage earners.
Right. Are there any details that you would like to add to that, Mr. Vishal?
Okay, so Bernie Sanders, who's a well-known democratic socialist, says that in a democratic, civilized society, healthcare should be a human right. Government should make that happen. Democratic socialism means that they need to expand Medicare, provide educational opportunity to all Americans, and rebuild our crumbling infrastructure. In other words, they need to serve the needs of all people instead of wealthy campaign contributors. The objective of a democratic socialist would be socializing public services. To know more, we have to look at the working models of democratic socialism. So Nordic models that function with a socio-economic model that embody values for the people and by the people. These highly egalitarian countries embrace a fairly free market economy and economic globalization in order to sustain the economic output required to fund these expensive social programs. This economy requires a very high progressive taxation and ensures more economic equality, leaving with more economic resilience to any recession or other crises that might happen. It also provides tax revenue required for a large welfare state. When a recession hits, people do not have to worry about what their basic needs are being met, as they're using a system that aims that to be the first priority. Norway is first, Iceland fourth, Sweden seventh, Denmark 10th, Finland 11th are ranked on the Human Development Index. All 5 of these Nordic countries are in the top 7 on the World Happiness Report from 2017 to 2019.
Mr. Citizen, are there any concerns left or needs that you would demand from our politicians?
Well, I guess those are all fair policies. I mean, remember before the recession, me and my family used to have so many subsidies, like student loans, like free healthcare, but they were just all canceled by the former government. I mean, we need actions, right? Just like my child needs healthcare.
Okay, so I'm going to ensure that there'll be no cuts to important social services, especially not healthcare and education. Austerity is the last thing we need during a recession. We need to maintain these essential services to ensure the most vulnerable are still protected and provided for when they need it most.
So our politician claims that the government will ensure all of our significant social services to remain. Do you think that heavy spending could get us out of the recession?
Well, I have to say that sounds pretty good, but also, with all the tax reduction, are we gonna reduce some of the funding, like on other areas?
No, I won't be cutting any public services. So I'm going to get the extra tax revenue needed to maintain these services during the recession from taxing the wealthy and big corporations. And I won't be increasing taxes on the lowest income earners or small businesses. And I won't be increasing the sales tax.
Could you provide us with more in-depth to what Mr. Yuri just said?
So, since the tax revenue could be used for people during hardship during a recession, like creating stimulus checks for the unemployed, besides that point, Keynes argued that in a recession, austerity can be self-defeating, with spending cuts causing a fall in demand, leading to a lower economic growth. Harsher economic policies being made, as increased taxes or decreased funding for social services, might be adopted in response for government debt. Due to the increase in unemployment, increased funding and decreased taxes are the two needed solutions to prevent any worse economic downfall. We know that collecting taxes at this time is not a well-supported move by the majority. We would only tax those who are running their businesses or those who are financially stable, just to simply stabilize the economy while giving out state-run programs to people who need it the most during this time, much like what Franklin Roosevelt did during the Great Depression.
Okay, understandable. Thank you
Okay.
both so much for the time being. So, Mr. Citizen, I hope what you have heard could somewhat answer your concerns and demands. And I do also hope that our government would do as they said, because at the end of the day, civilians' wellness is our priority.